Premiership Power Rankings for round number 12. Slightly disrupted week with 3 teams not in play rather than just Worcester who were on the bye because London Irish and Bath didn't get a result with COVID cases. So we'll go through the power rankings. I've just scored those no play sides kind of as a nil. And we'll see how the teams are stacking up after 12 rounds. At the bottom, there is no change despite not losing. Bath. We'll still see what happens with their result. As I record this, it's postponed, whether it's going to get cancelled and they'll award points to London Irish and maybe some consolation points. I think it's usually 4 and 2, right? To Bath remains to be seen. But either way, Bath, bottom. No changes there. Next is Bristol. Despite the loss being a loss, the results are slightly seeming more positive. I've still scored them negatively, but not by a heck of a lot. They lost to Exeter narrowly after losing to Leicester narrowly, and those are both sides who I've got kind of towards the top. So I've not put a heck of a lot of kind of negative points on them, but a loss ultimately is still a loss. Hopefully they can kind of turn things around sooner rather than later. Worcester, they were on the bye. They didn't go up or down. They are the same as last week. And Wasps, I have got here in 10th. Same as last week. So these bottom 4 teams have not changed one spot. They lost 26-18 to Sale, which is like disappointing but not tragic, right? So yeah, none of those teams having the best of runs, but 2 of them didn't play, so kind of hard to read too much into them. Newcastle is the one new addition to this bottom row. They've spent most of the season, I think, in that middle row because their results have been a wee bit up and down. It was a bit of a bad one. 31-0 away to Leicester. Now Leicester's up top of the log. So it's another one where you can't kind of punish them a heck of a lot, but their record's kind of, I think, even split. And some of the more recent ones not that great. So, yeah, down 2 spots are Newcastle into 9th. Another team who is down is Northampton Saints. They are not having the best run of it in recent times. Yeah, big home loss to Saracens. That was a bit of a statement game. Like, are you up with the main players or not? Now, admittedly, again, it's 2 late tries that really blow the scoreline out. But it's not a good result, is it? No points scored in the second half. Didn't manage to score any tries. Just 2 penalties. A bit of a disappointing one, even though I know Chris Boyd's not particularly happy with the way things went on. That just kind of is what it is. London Irish I have got up. Not because they did anything particularly spectacular. They didn't play. But teams around them went down. And with them not playing, I've just kind of scored them at 0. So, yes, their game against Bath was called off. We'll have to wait and see. As I said, I haven't found out what's going to happen yet. By the time this video comes out, they may have decided. They probably will have decided what is going to happen. One side who I have got up a whopping 3 spots is Sale Sharks. Sale have spent the majority of the season down the bottom. Things have been poor, to put it mildly. These were supposed to be one of the kind of contending teams. They've still got time to turn it round. Yeah, a solid but not spectacular win over Wasps. It at least shows us that, at the moment anyway, Sale don't belong in this row. They're slightly better than that. Can they keep that up? That's going to be the question as to whether they're a genuine contender or an also-ran, as I mentioned. Still time to get it done, but they're fighting an uphill battle just based on the way they started the season. These guys started a bit better. Gloucester, they are down. I've got them down 2 spots. It was a test for where they are at. Can they beat the reigning champions Quins at home? And it was almost, but it was not quite. Narrow loss at home. If they had won that game, if their maul had really got into action and they'd really been able to kind of put some tries on Quins, yeah, they'd be really right up there as a genuine contender, but they just maybe slipped up a little bit. And there's no shame in losing the Quins. Like I mentioned, they are the reigning champs for a reason. They're a really good side, and they only just beat them. But yeah, that kind of, I think, speaks to why Gloucester are down and Quins are up. Quins are up from that second row. into 4th, up 1 spot. So just the opposite thing for Gloucester. It was a good statement for Quins, who've been a little bit inconsistent this season. Are they kind of capable of showing us some of that form that we saw last year? Yes, they're quite capable of going to a side who's in cracking form and shutting them down enough to come away with a win. So kind of good reward for them up into the top row. Also, I've got Exeter here. I've had them in the top row for a wee while, even though they're not this position on the actual log on the table. They are in really good form. They started the season poorly, but they've come back in quite a way. So Exeter, I think, they're not putting teams away. They didn't beat Bristol, who are way down the bottom, by a heck of a lot, but they're still getting the wins. And like I mentioned, Bristol almost beat Leicester, so it's kind of a bit of a false equivalency to just say that they beat one of the bottom teams. It is a bit of a difference, seemingly at the moment, to beat Bristol compared to beating Bath, but we'll see. Bristol may be able to convert this decent form into something, or they may not. Saracens I've got in 2. They had a pretty bloody good away win against Northampton. Like I mentioned, it was a couple of late tries that made the scoreline look, for them, better than it was, but compared to the previous week where they'd shipped a few points at the end of the game, they were the ones scoring them, so that will be pleasing news for Saracens fans. I still reckon they look really dangerous, but ultimately you can't displace Leicester, who are number 1. Last week it was a late score to win it. This week it was a late score to get that bonus point. They are just incredible this season, 11 from 11. They are miles ahead of the competition in my power rankings. They would need to drop a few games before anyone could touch them, but doesn't look like happening at the moment. You guys let me know your thoughts. It is slightly different from how the actual table looks, but there's certainly some teams in similar spots, no doubt. You guys let me know your thoughts. Take care, and I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.